Now let's get more on the news that Colonel Gaddafi's son, Saif al-Islam, has been captured in Libya. He's the last key member of the Gaddafi family to be either caught or killed. Well, the journalist and Middle East expert Nabila Ramdani is here with me. Thanks for coming in, Nabila Ramdani. You know, it's easy to forget that Libya is still a very chaotic place, and he's been picked up by the Zintan brigades and taken to Zintan, and the assumption is that the NTC has this overall control and it'll all be very smooth, and eventually Saif al-Islam will come to Tripoli and have an organised trial. But how realistic an expectation is that, do you think?
I think just as we have seen how the Misrata brigade, which captured, say, Colonel Gaddafi and one of his sons, Mu'tasim, have effectively claimed property of those two bodies and have put them on display for a few days as war trophies, effectively, to affirm that they have undone the Gaddafi regime. The same is happening at the moment in Zintan, when the Zintan brigade has arrested Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, the most politicized sons of Colonel Gaddafi, and it's claiming property over it. So it's going to be it is proving hugely challenging for the National Transitional Council to fly Saif al-Islam Gaddafi over to Tripoli and indeed try him properly. So
do you think we can imagine that behind the scenes there are angry phone calls going on where people are saying, look, he's ours, we want to talk about this, what is in it for us, why should we give him to you? Do you think there are these kind of disputes going on?
Very much so. What we have seen and what has been abundantly clear throughout the conflict is that the National Transitional Council had difficulty controlling the rebel forces, and this came to the fore even more clearly after the conflict, after the capture of Colonel Gaddafi. And what is happening is we are seeing, you know, angry crowds gathering around the plane in which Saif al-Islam Gaddafi is at the moment. Very angry indeed, because they would like to lynch him in the same manner that his father was. And what the NTC is trying to do is to avoid other scenes similar to...
You speak about the NTC as if they're different to the people, almost. I mean, the hope is for many Libyans that this will be some sort of a closing event to allow them to reorganise and move on.
Well, I'm afraid it is a reality that the NTC doesn't necessarily reflect the views of, you know, angry mobs on the streets. We have several layers of authorities in Libya. We have, you know, local powers, regional powers, and ideological differences. So it's very difficult for the NTC to establish authority, overall authority over the country.
So we get these messages of encouragement very, very quickly from Europe and now from the United States State Department as well, saying they hope things will run smoothly. The chief prosecutor of the ICC wants to get to Tripoli by next week. This is all, I presume, down to concerns that things might not run smoothly.
Indeed, and these are legitimate concerns because it might be a matter of hours or indeed days before the fate of Saif Gaddafi is indeed sealed, and this is reflected by the reports that have come out of Libya, where Saif Gaddafi has tried to make indirect contact with the ICC to make sure that he'll be tried at The Hague rather than in Libya. Of course, Libya has just seen the end of a 42-year despotic rule, and doesn't necessarily have, the means to try properly Saif al-Islam Gaddafi. And of course, they have the death penalty, and we've heard from the National Transitional Council that this is potentially what Saif Gaddafi will get.
Yes, indeed. I mean, the interim Justice Minister has said that he faces charges which under Libyan law could face the death penalty. The interim Prime Minister, we're hearing in the last few moments, has said he can guarantee a fair trial. It is a bit awkward, isn't it, for the NTC, because fair trial internationally means something more that you would link with a European trial, which wouldn't carry the death penalty, compared to what's happening or what may happen under Libyan law. Now, that might be a dilemma for the authorities in Tripoli to resolve public opinion against international opinion.
Very much so. We've heard not only statements coming out of the ATC, but also prominent figures in Libyan society, academics, people, clever people indeed, who are saying that Saif Gaddafi will get what he deserves, i.e. the death penalty. Now this is, assuming a lot, because so far Saif Gaddafi has not been charged, and that's why only a fair trial can address the allegations that have been made against him.
Nabila Ramdani, thanks very much indeed for coming in and talking to us this evening.
Thank you.